Hello and welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. I'm Vivek Govekar. Namaste. This is episode 108. I just had a conversation by email from a regular viewer of this channel and went back and forth with about 8-10 emails. And obviously, that has given me a lot of things to talk about. So I'm really pleased. Fascinating number of questions asked in a genuinely curious way. And there's so many of them now, I'm trying to put it all in my head as one coherent message that I can pass on through this video. So, the person asked me about what actually happens during the Kundalini process, how the process unfolds. Does it go up and down the spine, which I have mentioned in previous videos. The one question I get asked a lot, and this person asked me again, and this is based on knowledge that is out there from gurus, experts, books that have been written, but not from people actually going through the Kundalini process. And there is a major misconception that I have found. I don't know how they teach Kundalini in Kundalini yoga classes, because like I said, my awakening was spontaneous, accidental, and then I'm catching up post-fact to find trial and error methods. So I'm gonna dwell on just two things this time. One is the 3 bandhas. Bandhas are locks. You lock your muscles in 3 spots. They're called Mula bandha, which is clenching of the buttocks, Uddiyana bandha, clenching of the abdominal muscles, and Khechari mudra, Jalandhar bandha, which is the tongue being placed a certain way. And someone asked me about the significance of them and the relevance of them. So in the theoretical sense, let's say you go to learn horse riding and somebody teaches you. First you get on the horse this way, then this is how you hold the reins. It's all hypothetical and theoretical, right? In that same way, you can learn the bandhas, okay? You don't have energy rushing through you, throwing you all over the place like a rag doll and have to, manage it. First you take the lessons, then you sit on the horse. Now, all the lessons you have learned and done in controlled environments, now suddenly you enter a race, you're the jockey. The horse is unruly and you have to control it. So all these techniques obviously have to be modified. They don't become textbook execution of those techniques, and neither is that expected. You are supposed to control the horse. That's why you did the learning. But because many people do the practices and never have the energy shake them, they fixate on the wrong things, which is technical ability to master poses and technical ability to master bandhas. And is this right? No, you said this, but this is wrong. No, I'm doing all of it, and I explain what I do about these bandhas, which is very different from whatever is said in scripture. Learned by a man who spontaneously awakened, who now has to deal with this energy. Like first getting on the horse and then learning on an unruly horse what those commands were. And my bandhas and how I do them is very different. But then I explained the goal of what I have to do to cope with the energy. What is this Khechari mudra, he asked me, and why? How do you do it, etc. Basically, see my teeth and my jaw. When the energy moves in my spine and comes up here, it takes this and does this. So if I don't do the Khechari mudra, I could do damage to my jaw and my teeth could break, shatter. That's why I have to do the Khechari mudra my way. Energy is flowing. I don't have to worry about whether it's specifically right. Did my teeth break? Did my jaw break? Was there any damage? No. Then I did the Khechari mudra right. Simple explanation. I said something about the second block in the Uddiyana bandha. I said it's about controlling the rib cage. He said no, it's about clenching the abdomen. Again, said in like he's trying to figure out, right? And he's asking me questions. I'm like, listen, for me, I have to focus on the sensation in the rib cage and the spine, keep them straight, otherwise my back will break, just like my jaw will break if I don't do that mudra. And if I don't do the butt clenches, the energy will leak out and won't be used to the right purpose, to hold it in. So whatever I do to manage those things are my bandhas. That's the truthful answer. Right? An awakening is like you've taken every single lesson before. That is your asanas, yoga poses, pranayama, learned how to do them well, went to different people, compared notes. Now you're the expert at that thing. But now you're on the horse, all that goes away. It's like, how do I just hold on, not get thrown off the horse, right? And those things kick in as muscle memory as necessary for that process. I gave another analogy of golf. Let's say you learn how to use every single club. There are 14 clubs in the bag. But when you actually go to the golf course, play around, depending on where the ball falls, how you have to manage that, you might end up using just 7 clubs. The putter, of course, you're going to use the putter every single round. Other than that, you just used 7 clubs, not all 14. But you are an expert at all 14 clubs. And you're like, why don't I get to use all 14? That's what a person who is trained in the asanas, bandhas, etc., having a Kundalini awakening, might feel. Hey, never got to use any asana except the chakrasana. Like I use the chakrasana and a couple of asanas. But because I can do them effectively, I don't have any damage to my body. Had I learned it systematically and learned every single pose, about 90% of those poses and systematic learning would have still gone to waste. The point is to prepare you that when this violent energy is shaking you, your jaw doesn't break. Don't fixate on the bandhas and how they're technically done. They're there to save your life when this is moving around and shaking you violently. And don't be disappointed that I put that much practice. I don't really need to learn all of this. I just needed to learn 2 asanas. But they saved your life. And you don't have physical damage. That's how you should see it. So that's why I'm going to differentiate a lot from what people up to that stage of learning just learned everything but don't have the energy moving through me is going to be different from what coping with it requires. And the theoretical knowledge and previous planning and conditioning, preparation for the body will have not theoretical textbook style utility, but real life applications. You won't get to use every single club and you have to hold on to the horse and not get off. That's why you're learning those things. I hope that makes sense. The second question again, and this gets asked every so often, is because of this theoretical knowledge of people who haven't awakened the energy, there is a concept going on that the energy just goes sequentially up your body. One chakra, then the next chakra, then that opens. No. Let me debunk that myth right away. It's not the vertical ascent that is sequential. It's not like one chakra after the next is where you go. Think of it as a system of meridians, conduits, like your arterial and venous systems. Your veins, arteries, and when the heart pumps blood, it goes through all of those arteries and veins. It doesn't go first to the legs. Wait, now stop. Then it's going to go to the arms. No, when the blood pumps out, entire system gets enriched with blood. Then it goes back into the heart. So why would a physiological process happening in that same body, also having a meridian system, be any different and go only sequentially? It wants to cleanse every bit of emotional junk that is in the nadis, in the meridian system, in your emotional body. And it is only doing that. So the vertical ascent and the downward ascent are just incidental for it to go through all of that, check where those blockages are and remove each one of them. All chakras are interconnected. It could be working on the first chakra, then fourth chakra, because the obstacle, the emotional junk that is stuck in those places, your nadis, may have a connection to both of those. So you might be surprised, it went from first to fourth, why not second, third? It's not literally activating the chakras, it's just clearing junk from your body. And it goes everywhere. So anybody without a Kundalini awakening and a snake going through your spine, assuming that it is sequential, is factually incorrect based on my experience, and also wrong because of what's said in scripture. Scripture doesn't talk about spiritual, like vertical ascent being the goal. Scripture says that the energy comes and cleanses you and the nadis are cleansed. But scripture does say that the Ida and Pingala, the two nadis, the upward, downward, then slowly coalesce, or the energy focuses, concentrates and passes through the central channel called the Shushumna. Now, how it's given in scripture and how I feel it, or anybody with an awakening would feel it, are very different. the Shushumna, the two nadis, Ida and Pingala, become the Shushumna. There is a tightening. And the tightening only happens when all the peripheral nadis, etc. are cleansed. Energy has gone all over, up and down, vertical ascent, downward descent, everything has happened, sideways penetration. The goal is not vertical ascent sequentially, chakra by chakra. The goal is, by cleansing all of that, the energy doesn't have anything else to cleanse in the periphery and can only focus on that center channel, come closer. And the feeling inside, when I'm having that, and my cleansing is going well, is that of a tightening of the chakras or tightening of the nadis. Like it's not going all over the place, it's tightened, and I'm feeling like all poles of me are coming into some center. And then your consciousness gets elevated and you ascend. The flow itself is not just like limited one after the other, one stage after the other. That's going non-stop everywhere, up, down, all over the body. But main two channels, Ida and Pingala, that I can feel, where it's going up and down. The goal is not the vertical ascent. And no, you don't go sequentially and one chakra is completely disregarded. It cannot do it that way. Its job is to cleanse the entire meridian system. Like I said, just like saying, when the heart pumps out blood, it only goes to your arms first. Legs are not getting any blood. And then the legs get blood. Because it's sequential. That's how silly it is to think that it would go only in one chakra and the next chakra. It is an energy going through meridians, just like blood going through veins and arteries. And after all that cleansing has happened, the tightening is to a central channel. It is horizontal, or coming inward is the ascent. Not the actual vertical ascent, which happens sequentially. That's wrong. Right? So I hope I've clarified two major concepts today. One is that bandhas, asanas, and anybody that has confidence in their knowledge, think of themselves as expert, but don't have the violent shaking energy awakened yet, should temper their expertise with the knowledge by saying that, oh, but I haven't reached that final threshold. So this is what was taught in scripture. This is what was given to me as methods, and I'm doing them. The actual experience, from what I've heard from people who have it in their spine, is different. Bandhas happen just so that you can control how the energy moves. By doing the bandha, I'm focusing the energy straight up, not all over. And I have to do it so that it doesn't cause any damage to my jaw. Otherwise, it's always like this, grinding of my teeth. Like now I've held it in a bandha. I hope people understand this, that the theoretical knowledge and what's in books written by people without an actual snake up their spine is limited, just like the horse riding experience would be limited if you have a very docile training horse and all you have learned is the basic techniques, and you're not on a runaway horse, Western cowboy style scenario, or a race and you're in a jockey position. Nobody asks those people, hey, did you just do the exact canter and pull the reins this way? No, right? It's whatever is happening at that point. Or, oh, I learned every asana. You haven't even learned a single asana, but you have a Kundalini awakening? Yeah, I just know 2 asanas, and when my energy moves, I know how to do them, so my back doesn't get hurt. Is the simplest answer I can give you. Remember, I have never claimed to be an expert in yoga, like a certified yoga teacher, certified meditation teacher. I'm a regular guy who just happened to have an awakening. It opened up and now it doesn't go anywhere else. Now I have to cope and find ways to do this. And these are the ways I have found. Arguments about the theoretical stuff with people who haven't had this, they're gonna feel like, wow, this guy is saying completely different things, but he's the one who has the awakening. My teacher is a lot more knowledgeable, has a lot more expertise, but that person doesn't have the snake in the spine and cannot report those things. Okay? I'm being very clear about all of these things so that people understand where I'm coming from. I'm definitely not gonna give you any misinformation, and I cannot. I have to live with this, cope with it, and survive. These are my techniques. This is the real experience. I hope this was helpful. Please click like, subscribe, and leave me comments. This is wonderful. Because of the feedback, I could make this video. So thank you for that. Peace, love, blessings. This is Vivek Govekar signing out. Be well.